Hello everybody and welcome to Sunday Q&A, which this week is being recorded on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, about 5 o'clock. So if your comment came in after that, sorry it didn't get printed, I'll deal with it next week. Amazon, fantastic people, delivery drivers got a lot of time for them. Shot in the garden, despite the fact it's not that warm, because I finished early today, because I've got a crack on my windscreen the size of a saucer. It's like that. Something hit me and I'm going, oh, that's scary. So I can't go get it done on Tuesday now. So I'm thinking I might get a long weekend in here. So I've been busy. This afternoon. This afternoon also, the reason we're out there, this afternoon I've done that. For some bizarre reason, I said this is something to do with a child. Again, what is it for? We've got a bath in our back garden and the missus wanted it for the lavender, which sounded like a bit of a task, but actually it wasn't that bad. If you stuff it full of plastic bags, it doesn't need that much soil, and so I'm very pleased with my results there. Anyway, got nothing to do with courier driving there, nothing whatsoever, but still gardening, very pretty. So, what we got to do this week? Right, intro. I am now, as I've said before, doing the stuff with the circuit mob. I'm happy to do the stuff with the circuit mob. I think their app is very, very good. A few of you think it's a little bit dear, but I think for the money, it's worth it. So I'm now doing videos for them. They've got their own channel, and I'm out there. So if you can follow, I'm going to do a link. I'm going to try and put the link up there now. It might not be quite so easy, but if you follow that link, there's more videos of me. What's not to like? Even more me. Sorry. But yeah, no, there are more videos, and it's more about that side of things, particularly if you're on the Amazon or if you're on the Hermes or on the Argos or on a Parcel Force. Much more about multi-drops, more about getting the load on, getting it on properly, getting it off quickly. There's some decent tips on there. It's not just me, there's some other bits and pieces on there. But if you follow the link and if you please subscribe, be much appreciated. I'll be doing the odd video there and then, but there'll be other people on there as well. So if you're that kind of person, you're in the courier thing, I think it would be worth getting on that channel. It's pretty new at the moment, but I think content's going to be coming on fairly, hard and fast. So please subscribe if you can, and of course, I will be asking you guys for advice. Occasionally, they ask me questions, and I don't know the answer because, as I've said before, I am not Mr. Multi-Drop. But yeah, if you guys can help, this is what it's for. Truly appreciated. So, what we do this week, the best package on the CX. I've said all the way before. Start small. Don't want to be all the gear no idea. Don't go in thinking that you're going to be DHL or Parcel Force. But if you can, start some small man in a van, So, questions. So, Danny Boy, operator owner, he's out there. He's doing the same thing. I assume you've got your license now because he was interim. He applied for it at the same time as me, so I guess he's out there doing the thing. Good advice, he agrees, fantastic, so it's not just me then. Ark Newman says, apparently CX did stop doing the 6-month packages now. It is like the year-month package. He said, I started a month back and could only do 12 months. And he said, the question for the Q&A, when jobs come up on the CX with multiple collections deliveries, how do you price it? Still buy mileage or charge a bit extra per drop? I did do one recently on... I think on the pricing thing, there is a video on pricing. It's not a hard and fast area. You don't really want to do on the mileage. It's one of those things you want a set rate as a minimum, and then so much per mile, and then also how much you would charge per drop. And you calculate whichever, you do the free calculations, and whichever one comes in the most, that's the one you go with. So that's clear as mud, but I'm sure maybe I'll do your video on that one. See if we can. Maybe that deserves a video on its own. So, Chris C, he said, always worth asking for deals on what they can do. He got 12 months. He got 15 months for just over £750 plus VAT when he signed up. He didn't say when he did sign up, but he's dead right. As I say all the way through, if you sign up, if you say I watch the videos. Pete says if you recommend someone, you get a free month. He says he doesn't want his free month. He wants me to have his free month. Can I have his free month, please? They'll give you it or they won't. Sean Gilmartin, who's a new subscriber to the channel, he's done a few interesting comments. Thanks, Sean. Good to have you on board, mate. He says, I believe that the rates and coronavirus things gone down. He says, talking about whether you should be on the CX or not. The trouble is saturation with the market over the last 20 years means everybody's rates are unsustainable. I did this one out the conveyor belt of fools. Don't quote too cheap. You'll come unstuck. He says, as a courier driver at the bottom of the pile, difficult place to negotiate from. He said, I've been in the game since the early 90s. He's got a CX number, 68 something something something. That's a while ago for me. Like, you know, mine's 15, 150, 158 something, and now I think it's up to 200 something. So I'm starting to look like the seasoned professional. I'm just paused for the laughter to finish there, and then sort of. He also goes on to say, I'm getting 90p a mile subbing direct. He's been subbing direct for 15 years, going a long wheelbase. However nice the shippers are, the rates are suppressed. End user customers are the way forward. You can get more money out if you're loyal and you do a decent job and you turn up on time. You can charge them in a long wheelbase 150 a mile. And they won't want anybody else because they'll want you. Because they know if you turn up, you'll pack it correctly, you'll turn up on time, it'll get there because they use you all the time. So I keep going on. End users are the way forward. But and Jordan Lockwood says he said they tried to get him on the biggest package because he mentioned he had a multi-drop business. He said I tried explaining that I wanted to join the CX just for myself, and the other drivers are solely multi-drops and will be used nothing to do with the CX. He said that not to mention 95% have only got cars. He said but they're having none of it. Still waiting for a call from the manager. Jordan, in your particular position, I would weigh it up. You know, to find out how much is the difference between small fleet and owner-driver, and maybe consider it, because you know there aren't that many car jobs. There aren't, but if they've got the right insurance, you could get them on small van jobs. That's something to talk about with the CX. So okay, the guys have got cars. That's what I'd say to them. I'd say my guys have got cars. Can they do small van jobs? And if they say no, go. What's the point of selling it then? That's what I would say to them. So you're selling me something that then you tell me I can't use. That's what I would do. Go back to him with that. Maybe that'd be enough to swing it the other way. Again, nothing to do with me. I have nothing to do with the CX. I just happen to be on it. So, right. Right. We also did one this week on losing the digicard because like a complete clown when I passed my test and he said, do you want me to send the driving licence off? I said, yes please, and handed him my digicard, which means I then had to run the truck for 3 days on tacho printouts, which is fine. You're allowed to do that. So I did a print out at the beginning of the day, print out at the end of the day, wrote it all down. It's all cool. But losing your digicard, there's only one on this. Domain name guy says, he said, it almost happened to me. So I left my digicard in the truck at the end of the shift, because he's working for different companies. Next day, went to put his digicard in the tacho, realised it wasn't there, realised he'd left it. Fortunately, not in a very not particular area, and both companies talked to each other, so one company rang the other, went and picked it up. He says, as a rule, if you leave your digicard in the tacho, the next driver has to remove the card to insert theirs. You can't fit it in otherwise, only fits one card in. If they give your card to the transport office, then happy days. If they leave the card in the truck could be 200 miles away, which is no good to you. So if you are on agency or something like that, and you go to your digicard and you find that someone else's is in there, when you plug it out, just stick it in the transport office and say, just going to leave this here. You know, put it in the glove compartment. Not a lot of trucks. So thanks for your advice on that one, Domain name guy, as usual. So now we're on the miscellaneous, which now I've separated into two. There's miscellaneous truck and then miscellaneous normal, because a lot more truck is coming up. So miscellaneous on the truck. Dermot O'Brien says, well done mate. He said, I failed my first test on the class 2, passed first time on the class 1. Always remember, he says, don't be knut, take the shunt. I don't think it's supposed to say knuts. I think you hit the button. I can understand it. In fairness, I was prepared to take a shunt, because you are allowed, when you do your reversing manoeuvre, to go forward and backwards. But I thought, when I saw the guy mess it up before me, I thought, I'm going to get this right first time. And I got it. And I'm going back and I'm thinking, I am bang on. I thought, I'm just going to double check. I was going to jump out the truck and double check, and the guy went, don't bother. And that's when I thought, I can do this. At least I'm not stuck in the test centre. I'm on to a winner here. So John Fennell says, congratulations, Pete, on getting your class 2. Onwards and upwards, my friend. He said he's got his class 1, but he says, I'm not going back into a class 1. This is my mate John from Ireland. He says, I'm fed up with idiots wanting to squeeze an Arctic into a space you couldn't squeeze a van into. Still loving the van. Still has his 2 clients. Still doing London and a few other jobs. Have I tried the Irish whiskey yet? And was it any good? Have I tried it? Mate, that's gone. And yes, it was lovely. Very, very nice. Had a bit of a Highland Park tendency about it, which is one of my favourites. Really enjoyed that, yeah. So, and like I say, John Fennell is my man in Ireland. He regularly takes loads back from Ireland. He does like runs from Manchester down to London, then he goes back again. So if you've got anything that needs shipping back, his long wheelbase to Ireland from England, I know a guy. Just leave the comment, just leave your message in the comments. I'll put you in touch with him. He's a nice geezer. And he's one of those guys, proper, switched on, van's tidy, everything secured, clean, no problems, you know. So, can highly recommend it. Yeah, God bless you, Susan. It's C11, Ian. Hello, mate. He says, always, but we're going like to buying a van. He said, buying a truck. Always buy the best vehicle at the lowest price. Maybe an entry-level Euro 6 18-tonne you can find. I'm actually looking, I'm thinking about this. I mean, I've been looking at the Euro 5s and I'm thinking they're so much cheaper than the Euro 6s. How many times am I going to go into the zone and how do I need to justify? And then, but then today, or was it 2 days ago, driving through Birmingham, 1st of June, that's emissions. Glasgow's coming, Manchester's coming. I'm just thinking, do I want it? And there's a Scania out there. There's 3, in fact. And I've always wanted to drive a Scania. If there's a market trade, I used to look at them on the motorway going, I'd love to drive one of those. And I don't even know if it's Euro 5 or even Euro 4. It's a 2009 plate. But the thing is, it makes no difference to me. Okay, it might be a bit more juicy, the parts might be slightly more difficult, but on the whole, I kind of like the older trucks because the new ones are so computerised that to fix them, you know, or something goes slightly wrong with the sensor and the whole thing lights up like a Christmas tree. I'd almost rather have an older truck. I'm going to have a look at it. It's not beyond the realms, it's not too dear. So anyway, I'll keep you informed. Watch your space. And we say, we go on to trucks again. Domain name guy says the difference between a 7.5 tonne, a class and a class 2 is the extra step. In a truck, I was, you got 2 steps going to class 2, and 3. What was it? 1 into a class, presumably a 7.5 tonne, 2 into a class 2, 3 steps into an Arctic. Although the Merc that I looked at the other day had 3 steps going up, and it was a bit tricky because they were sort of over here. You had to sort of angle your body to get in. It was a bit weird, but yeah, it's still on the I'm still on the running there, but I'm kind of thinking about Scania now. Kenneth McKenzie, another new guy to the channel. Welcome to the channel, Kenneth. He says, hi Pete, what about retrofitting a Euro 6 system to a van or 7.5 tonne? I don't know about now, but when they first started talking about this emission zone thing, that's when I had Shirley, that's when I had the Iveco back when I was on the market. And it was sell the truck and get a new truck. I thought, I don't want to do that, that's dear. Or put a catalytic converter on it. And I put a catalytic converter on it, and I think it cost me about $1.5 to put this catalytic converter on, and it never ran the same again. Well, maybe I didn't change the filters as often as I should, but eventually it blew up, and I hate it. The truck was absolutely fine. That truck would have done 1,000,000 miles. Put the cat on. I always said if I had a pop group, well, I did. It was called Wibble Wibble back in the day, but we won't go there. I was a saxophone player, if I ever bought out an album, I would call my first album "A Cat Killed My Shirley." Because the catalytic converter that I fitted to my first truck, who was called Shirley, blew the thing up. That's the album name. T says, have I thought about getting forks on the back of a truck? It would save you bags of time as you could drop it anywhere, especially handy in rural or city drop sites. In my experience, you can do more with a Mantou or a Moffat if you're looking at it. The problem is this. Whichever vehicle you have, it's not going to be the right one for the job. And yeah, I have that. And if you have got a truck with forks on the back, you can get a lot of money for that job. But if you're out on a job with the forks on the back and a job comes up, it's got to go on a bay, it can't. It's got a fork truck on the back of it now, hasn't it? Or if a job comes up where, I'm just thinking of other jobs. The pain is that is the pain. That suddenly, by having the fork truck on the back, and you've got the extra weight, although on an 18 tonne that doesn't really matter too much. But once you put the fork truck on the back, all the jobs that you can do, suddenly there are jobs that you can't do. So I have thought about it, but at the moment I'm just happy just to get in. Let's just get up and running first, one problem at a time. So Steve Campbell says, this is good news. He says the time limit on the theory test is irrelevant now you passed. You don't need to do another theory to do your class 1. That's good. Because I was thinking if I've got 2 years, I'm not in a rush to do my class 1. We don't need it. We're at 18 tonnes, that's what we do. But I kind of thought, well, I don't mind doing medical again. That's easy. That's like however much that is, turn up and cough. I'll have to go through that thing about revising everything and turn up and doing a test. This doing the testing is proving to be a bit of a pain. But if that stands, that's great. If all I've got to do is do the medical, then do the training and then do the exam, that's make things a lot easier. So thanks for that, Steve. Lee Westcott says, are you allowed to drink alcohol if you're parked overnight in lorries? grey area again, as far as I understand it. And once I know if you guys out there know better than me, because I would like to know this, because sometimes I am on. I mean, normally I try and get myself a space and get myself a travel lodge or a day's in or something. But I have slept overnight in the laybys, and if I get my class 2 with a bed, I'm about to be sleeping in them even more. They seem. What was said to me a little while ago was if you're parked up and you got it on break and you've done your daily hours and you've got your curtains shut, they tend to leave you alone. But that's not to say, according to the law, I believe, that if they decide to knock on the door and you open and you've had a couple of beers, they are within their rights to go, have you got your keys on you? Which, of course, you have. Breathe in this bag and they can do you. I would like more information on this because I'd like to feel safe about it. Otherwise, you just don't have a drink, do you? You know, so, but, you know, after you've finished a long day, if you fancy a couple of beers, would be nice, wouldn't it? So, but I believe, technically, no, you're not allowed to have a drink when you're in control of a vehicle or you've got the keys on the vehicle. But if you've got the curtain shut, they will tend to leave you alone. Those that know better than me, please let me know. I would like to know. Barry Fun says, hi Pete, would it be possible to 50 grand a year with a class 2 curtain side? Barry, yes. Absolutely. I mean, on driving on an 18-ton class 2, we look to try to bring in. Doesn't happen sometimes get a bit more. It's been tough lately, but you want to try and bring in about 500 quid a day. That's £2,500 a week. Even if you take out 1.5 grand's worth of excess in the form of tax, wear and tear, diesel, all that kind of stuff, you should be able to make £1 a week in a class 2 truck. But then, having said that, if you get it right, you should be able to make £1 a week in the Luton with a curtain side. You might have to tramp out a bit, but it is possible, and you can do it with a lot less aggravation. End of the day, the choice is yours. As MKL says, he says, does anyone else think it's easier to just use a Luton? No tacos, no transport manager, no driving hours. It is what it is. There's more money in trucks, and I'm running trucks. That seems to be through better luck than judgment. That's just the way it came about. But you do you at the end of the day. I would say if you're thinking about getting into a truck to do it for money, start with a Luton with a tail lift. If you like it, then go through the pain of operators licenses, transport managers, all that kind of stuff. One guy did ask me, he said, do I need, I think it was Kenneth, wasn't it? Kenneth McKenzie. He watched the video all the way to the end. That's on my phone. I'll bet you through this. Hello, love. Yeah, it's painful. It's involved getting in there. So, right, we're going through the general miscellaneous now. As T says, he says, you can now sign up for the auto pay on the Runcorn Bridge crossing. Handy for, oh yeah, I've done that before and we got fine. Handy for going to Liverpool to Cheshire to Wales. So, auto pay everything you can. Auto pay cities, zones, everything. Just sign yourself up. It just means that if you go in there accidentally, you don't know, you won't get hit by a fine. Although normally the first time you go in, you'll get a warning. But just auto pay everything you can. He also says, a good piece of advice, he says, with traffic wardens, I've always found if you spot one near where you're going to drop, explain to them where you're dropping, where you think is best to park, and ask them their opinion for the best place for the job. Usually they'll be fine. You can ask for special dispensation from the council through them. They can provide a number for multi-drops apparently. My father-in-law's got this great philosophy, which is brilliant, and it's worked for me. Its opening line is, I wonder if you can help me. If your opening line is to ask people for help, normally it dissolves a lot of situations. The amount of times I use it when I get on site, go up to see the fork truck driving there looking at you, go, mate, I wonder if you can help me. Suddenly it makes them feel all important and powerful because you're asking them help. I'm just slowly going, please help me. And then suddenly they soften 90% of the time. Wardens are the same. If you ask them for their help, they might just give you that little bit of extra time, you know? So, Connie Cruxon says, I'm doing the broadband speed thing. He said, broadband upload speeds. He said, I've got unlimited data on my phone contract. Hotspot for upload is the same speed as my download speed. I've tried doing that. I've tried uploading the videos directly from the phone rather than doing it from the Wi-Fi. Same problem. It might be something to do with YouTube. It might be something to do with something there, so I don't know. But thanks for the advice anyway, mate. But Steve Campbell says, congratulations on passing my class 2. Thanks, Steve. He's up there in Newcastle. He said, I thought I'd just let you know I'm still a free man. I didn't realise you were going back in again. Don't go back in again. You've been inside enough. He says, not been sent back to Nick. He said, I've been very busy with a new job on the class 1. So he said, there don't seem to be enough hours in the day or enough days in the week. And he said, my dad wishes we didn't have the finance lease on the van. Like I said, if you don't need to do it, don't do it. Buy yourself a cheap van. Lease the van when all the money's pouring in. and then you can get yourself a nice new motor. When you're starting off, well, I just hate it. I'm like I say, I could go and lease the truck, and I'm pretty sure that I could easily pay for it. But the money, it would hurt me every time watching that money out of the bank every month. Go, how much? Don't need to spend that. Is that nice Scania over there? It's not too dear. 2009. It's all right. Do 2 million miles that lorry. Lee Westcott says, I've got a Jeep and a car transport trailer. Just wondering, is there any work on the CX for moving vehicles or caravans? There is some, there's not much. I think there might be other sites out there for that kind of stuff, but on the whole, car transporting jobs might come up once in a blue moon. So honestly, if you're joining the CX thinking that that's the way forward, no, I wouldn't. Louis Spencer says, he said, Pete, can you realistically, now we said, can you earn 1k in a lorry? Yes. Can you earn 1k in a little van? If you go for it, you can. Can you earn 1k per week after fuel expenses in a small van in a good area like the Midlands? Or is it more Lutons, long wheelbase at Lutons? It's going to be very tough to earn £1,000 a week just off the CX. If you've got your own end user customers, then you can possibly, if your end user customer's job isn't timed, you can co-load, then you've got a much better chance. A guy asked me a question about co-loading, mate. I'm going to do your video this week. But to actually make that kind of money just in a small van, it's possible. I always go on about Aram's, the best small van job. One day he got over 400 quid, but it's a once in a blue moon thing. On a whole, in a small van, you're going to be looking at bringing in about 100 quid a day. 150 if you're lucky. Do that 5 days a week, and you've got to take your diesel and your insurance, your wear and tear out of it. So the short answer, mate, I would say if that's there are ways of doing it, but just to do it alone on the CX, it's going to find that very tough. Kish Cash says, what about small van? Well, I hope that explains things. I did do a video on small vans. If I do a link, it's like a wizard. I said, Merry Christmas. Yeah. I've sidetracked myself again. Anyway, coming back to it. Ian Merrick, he says, you mentioned the courier market, Pete. He said, I had a chat with the Advertising Standards Authority. He's on it, this man, I tell you. He said recently regarding courier sites claiming Bing membership and having loads of jobs but not delivering. No pun intended. Ding. Too honest. They said it's just like the ads on TV where you see the small print at the bottom of the screen, 85% of women out of 120 agree their wrinkles were visibly reduced. Yeah, I used to say that sometimes for 40 people they asked on the advert. I think they asked people around the office. They ain't going to say no, they want to keep their jobs. He said, so if you're feeling a bit miffed at handing over your cash for promotional material that didn't have an asterisk to the bottom saying, by the way, we haven't got any jobs really, but we suspect you're desperate pandemic and all that, consider filing a complaint. I'm just going to write it off. You know, it's a shame, isn't it, really? Because if they were good, I'll be on it telling you they were good. I don't know if it was Courier Market or... No, it was returnloads.net we used. Nothing. Claims nothing. Couldn't find anything. So, honestly, if it was my advice, it was a waste of time for me. Whether it's you might know better, but for me, no good. James186. That was the one we come to. He said, hi, Pete. Is co-loading on CX prohibited? Full stop. So I accept a job on CX and from a non-CX customer offers me a job. No. It's not prohibited, full stop. But James186, I will do you your own video because I think that is worth drawing to attention. And Kenneth McKenzie says, hi, Pete. Is there not a system for attaching a tail lift so you can weigh pallets as you load them? Or a portable scale you can place on the ground and place the pallet on it to weigh it? If not, someone should invent one. Franz knew something about this. There was another question on there. Oh, there it goes. And it was something you can put under your axle. And there is a way if you can actually... The problem you've got is it's both a blessing and a curse. In the fact that if they weigh you on and then you suddenly know that you're 100 kilos overweight, if you run, you're 100 kilos overweight. You might have to turn that job down. Sorry, I can't take it. Get the 20 quid cancellation fee. If you don't know you're 100 kilos overweight and you do the job, and they stop you and say, look, in all due respect, I thought it was fine. They go, they'll weigh it, and I go, we can't expect you to know that it was 100 kilos overweight. They'll let you go. So, do you want it? Do you want a camera on your dashboard? Do you want a camera to say that you're driving fine? Do you want a camera to see what you're doing when you're driving? Do you want to spy on your drivers? Do you think that will inspire confidence and faith among them? You choose. You do you. I'm saying nothing. And also... Oh no, that one we've actually done. Right, okay, so finally, in conclusion, Kenneth McKenzie, once again, welcome to the channel. He said, love the vlogs, keep them coming. The Tesla Semi is £110,000 with a range of 300 miles. Thoughts? My thoughts are, I'm thinking just over spending over 5k on a Scania. I think you can take your Tesla Semi and you can put it somewhere for another 20 years until technology catches up and it's considerably cheaper. And then I won't think about it then. I will get the right tool to do the right job right now, not the right tool to do the right job in 2070. I'm very environmental. I plant the garden. I recycle all my food. When it comes down to trucks, I'm having to run a diesel at the moment. I ain't got a choice. And Ian Merrick says, because I did the video on my best day ever, he says, loving the commentary during loading the forks. Sounds like a golf commentary. Dave is approaching the curtain side from about 3 yards. The wind is a light northeasterly. The crowd are silent. Dave lowers the fork. It's on! The crowd go wild. Dave will be happy with that one now. Back to the studio for analysis. Mate, that's golden. I should maybe stick that one on the next time. I'm going to do that. The next time I actually see a fork truck driver loading, I'm going to stand behind him going, oh, it's a close one. Oh, he's coming up to the edge of the truck now. Brilliant. Guys, it's the bank holiday weekend, so I'm going to have a rest now. Like I say, it's recorded Friday. The missus has just got back from work. I'm going to go and have a beer. But, and I'm getting my windscreen fixed on Tuesday, so I don't even have to go to work till Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. So I am going to take care and drink longer. Have a good bank holiday.